will.i.am, Kate Bush, Steve Wozniak, Grimes, Richard Branson, all of these politicians and all of these AI experts. If you had to guess what links all of these people, the thing that they have in common, what would it be? Well, I've got the answer for you. They've all signed this week this open letter that's calling for a ban on the development of superintelligent AI.
Okay, so 800 of the world's most prominent figures spanning the political spectrum are calling for a ban on developing superintelligent AI.
At least until, one, there is broad scientific consensus that it can be developed safely, and two, that there is broad public buy-in. Right now, neither of those two things exist, and we're nowhere near close to either of them. And these aren't the only people that have signed this letter. There are over 30,000 people that have already signed it. These range from experts in the industry, Nobel laureates, politicians, artists, but the vast majority are just ordinary people like you and me. They're listening to what the experts are saying. They're worried about the development of superintelligent AI, and they want governments to stop it.
AI could, and likely is heading in a direction where it would be able to take over the human race. And that's not science fiction. It is the real path we're on at this point.
I think you mean take out and wipe out the human race.
Yeah.
The actor Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who is a man that I just love, we've got a thing going on there. He's also signed a letter.
Why would you want to build an AI that's smarter than humans? In Silicon Valley, they're calling this superintelligence, but does anybody really want this?
As he asks, does anyone really want this? The answer we have from all of the polling that we've had so far is no, people do not want this. They agree with the intention of this letter. They agree with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Joseph, or what would his initials be? JGL. I'm going to call him JGL. JGL was also a strong advocate of SB 1047, which was a piece of legislation that would have placed some requirements on AI companies to make sure their models are safe. Ultimately, it was vetoed by the governor of California after some intense lobbying from the AI industry and some outright lies. Despite support from Joseph Gordon-Levitt and many other actors, many other experts in the AI industry, it was vetoed. The AI industry are continuing to lobby against legislation. They continue to sow doubt about the risks, just as the tobacco industry did, just as the CFC industry did. This is nothing new. It shows that what we need to do as ordinary people who want to continue living happy lives and want our families to continue living happy lives is to make a stand up, support statements like this, and get legislation over the line that's going to protect us. Now, this letter is coming out at a curious time. It's just 1 month after the release of If Anyone Builds It, Everyone Dies.
Welcome back to ABC News Live. First, a new book is making headlines for its urgent case that AI is putting us on the path to extinction. Titled, If Anyone Builds It, Everyone Dies, Why Superhuman AI Would Kill Us All.
It makes the case for why, with current methods, the current ways in which frontier AI models are trained, if we continue with those methods, if we continue at the current rate of progress, we may reach superintelligent AI. That's AI that's better than every human at everything in 10 years or less. The researchers who are building it don't really have any idea how to control it currently. They don't know how to make sure it cares about us. So as the book argues, we would all die if that were to happen. It concludes that we need an international treaty that limits the amount of computing power that AI companies are allowed to use to train their models in order to ban the development of superintelligent AI. If there were scientific consensus and everyone was saying this is safe, we know how to control it, then there would no longer be a need for this kind of legislation. But in the current world, no one knows how to control superintelligent AI, yet most experts think it is coming down the line very soon, and nothing is being done to prevent it. That's very scary. That's why this statement has been signed. Fellow Norwich fan and host of the best quiz programme on British telly,
Stephen Fry! Hello.
Stephen Fry had early access to the book, and in fact, his quote is on the back cover right there. And he called this book the most important book he's read for years. He said he wants to bring it to every political and corporate leader in the world and stand over them until they've read it. Stephen Fry also signed this letter that just got released this week. He even lends his voice to this YouTube channel called Pinder.
Experts have warned that self-improving AI may hand absolute global power to a current leader shortly before ending the human era.
And he recently had a discussion on stage with Yuval Noah Harari, the author of Sapiens.
But there's another metric that I've been studying recently called PDOOM. Alicia Yudkowsky, who's the founder of the Machine Intelligence Research Institute in California, sets P at 90. That's to say, a 90% chance of human extinction through AI. Yann LeCun, who is the chief scientist for Meta, sets it at 0. but then he is the chief scientist for Meta. So that's like a tobacco executive saying, cancer? No chance. What are you talking about? Can't possibly happen.
You can have a look at the Wikipedia page. It has a whole list of different people's P-dooms. Ranges from 99.999 with Roman Yampolsky. There are some people who claim it's 0. I don't think they're thinking about the issue particularly seriously. But regardless of where you fall on that spectrum, what it does clearly show is that right now, there is nothing approaching a scientific consensus that this is going to be safe. And so we should just slow down, wait a little bit until we do have that scientific consensus. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't understand the rush of tech bros to keep advancing this technology as quickly as they possibly can. It seems pretty obvious that if we make something that's smarter than we are, that could go very badly for us. It's probably useful to have more time to think about how we're going to build that system, what values are we going to give it, how we're going to make sure that it actually sticks to those values, how we're going to make sure that we can correct it or control it if it does something we don't like. Right now, we don't have answers to any of those questions, so it seems like it will end in disaster if current AI development is allowed to continue as it is. Now, I can hear some of you saying, this statement is all well and good, yeah, superintelligence seems quite bad, maybe we should stop it, but if we stop, China are just going to continue. Now, of course, when you say we, perhaps you're assuming that the letter is only signed by Americans or only signed by people in the West. That's not true. 2 leading Chinese AI researchers have also added their name to this letter. Andrew Yao has previously worked with Geoffrey Hinton and Yoshua Bengio in releasing a statement calling for more cooperation between China and the West on the dangerous capabilities of AI. It's also important to note here that, and people seem to forget this, or maybe they don't know yet, but at the first UN Security Council meeting on AI back in 2023, when James Cleverly was the chair, China were the only country to even mention the possibility of pausing.
We need to strengthen the detection and evaluation of the entire life cycle of AI, ensuring that mankind has the ability to press the pause button at critical moments.
So when people start to say, oh, what about China? What about China? Well, it seems like, based on their track record of international dialogue on this issue, they seem to be the ones who are most open to pausing. So we shouldn't be asking, what about China? We should be asking, what about America? Another reason that is the case is that China right now have the strictest regulations on AI out of any country in the world. We have plenty of evidence that Chinese officials are taking this seriously, just as officials all around the world are taking this seriously in America, in the UK, in other countries. But at the end of the day, Chinese people are humans too. They are capable of understanding that if we build something that is more intelligent than humans are, that could go really badly for us, right? This is not difficult to understand for anyone from any country. They want their children to continue living. They want their children to be able to grow up and live happy lives just as we do. There's no difference there. Of course, China and the West have their differences in how they want their countries to be governed, but we can all agree, just as we would all agree that we should stop this asteroid hurtling towards Earth, or we should ban the use of CFCs in the 1980s to not all destroy our ozone layer because none of us will benefit from that. Just as we agreed on those things, we can agree that it's not in the interest of China, it's not in the interest of America, it's not in the interest of any country to build super intelligent AI that doesn't care about humans. That's not going to end well for any of us. This what about China is just cope to allow you to say, oh, it's hopeless, so I don't have to do anything. Well, it's not hopeless. There are things we can do. An international treaty is possible. Chinese people are human too. They want to live. Now, of course, you may raise the very reasonable point that, okay, even if China and America and the other major powers did agree to some ban on superintelligent AI, what would that actually look like? Is it even possible to implement that? There doesn't seem to be any exact kind of definition of superintelligence in this letter. Max Tegmark points out in this tweet, people who were against child labour back in the day, maybe they didn't have an exact definition of at what age something is classed as child labour. Is that 16? Is it 18? Is it 12? The way we define it can be decided by the international organisation that will be implementing this treaty down the line. We can have that debate now, we can have it later, but building a consensus that none of us would want superintelligent AI, just as none of us want child labour, is a good thing to be doing right now. Of course, it's important to note here that, again, to train a frontier AI model requires tens of millions of dollars, tens of thousands of GPUs. Right now, you cannot do this in secret, right? So if the governments of the world wanted to prevent someone from training a model of a certain size, they would be able to do it. Anthony Aguirre, who's one of the co-founders of the Future of Life Institute, the organization that wrote this letter, he had a detailed essay called Keep the Future Human. In that, he describes some mechanisms that we could use to enforce an international treaty. So those being like geolocation, measure the amount of flops that are being used, auto off switches that can be installed into chips. But I recommend reading the whole thing. I'll leave a link in the description. Now, when this letter was published, as with any kind of big news story in AI safety, I'm always curious as to what the AI industry's reaction is going to be. Yann LeCun, famous AI risk denier of table pushing fame.
I don't think we can train a machine to be intelligent purely from text. So for example, I take an object, I put it on the table, and I push the table. It's completely obvious to you that the object will be pushed with the table. There's no text in the world, I believe, that explains this. If you train a machine as powerful as it could be, your GPT 5000, it's never going to learn about this. That information is just is not present in any text.
He wrote this tweet that was in reference to the open letter, saying, "One cannot show that turbojets are safe before actually building turbojets and carefully refining them for reliability. The same goes for AI." This is true when we're talking about narrow applications of AI, when we're talking about narrow models, small models that are not more intelligent than humans are at every single task, right? Then you can release the model, you can see what it does, and you can change it, right? You have the opportunity to, because you're still more powerful than it is. You're still in control of what it does. When it comes to super intelligent AI that is more intelligent than we are at every task, that's not the case. You will have no ability to rein it in. You will have no ability to shut it down. You will have no ability to change its goals, to correct course. Once it's built, that's it. That's it. Now, if it cares about us, if it likes us, if it wants to help us, then that would be pretty good. It would solve all of our problems, cure all of our diseases. But if it doesn't care about us, and right now, there's not a single AI researcher on the planet who knows how to make it care about us, it's going to do things in the world without caring about us, right? Just as when we go and build a house, we may kill some ants. Just as we want to get wood to build things and use as fuel, we may destroy the habitats that apes live in. Because by and large, we don't really care what happens to non-humans. Unfortunately, I wish that weren't true, but it is. So with this analogy of air travel, of course, it was true that in the early 1900s, we wouldn't have been able to check if a plane is safe just through theory, right? We need to actually fly it and check. The Wright brothers and many other people, they put their own lives at risk in doing that. But importantly, the first plane that was ever built, the first turbojet that was ever built for testing, we didn't load the entirety of humanity onto it and just fly. If we did that, that would be suicidal, because there would be a chance, given that we haven't tested it yet, that it crashes. There would have been a chance that our theory was not up to scratch and the plane was not safe to fly. Just as right now, there's a very significant chance that our theory of AI alignment is not up to scratch, and the resulting superintelligence that will likely come out of 5 or 10 years of further scaling of AI models without any regulation, there's a significant chance that it will not care about us because we don't know how to make it do that. With the publication of this letter, there was also some new polling that came out that I found very interesting and gave me a lot of hope. So we can see here that just 5% of Americans are satisfied with the current status quo of AI development, which is develop it as quickly as possible to capture its benefits with no regulation, right? Only 5% of Americans are happy with that. 30% of people think that superhuman AI should never be developed, which is a far more extreme position than the letter takes. It's a far more extreme position than I take. I fall into the second category of it should only be developed after it's been confirmed that it can be controlled and it can be made safely, and 34% of Americans agree with me on that. As a collective, that's 64% of Americans who are saying right now it should not be developed, right? Because the fact is that we do not have any confirmation that it can be controlled and be safe. Really positive polling results here. All of the polling shows that they're worried about superintelligent AI. They think it's going to come soon if the current trajectory is continued and there's no regulation. They're worried that it could cause human extinction, and they want regulation. They want the race to be stopped. This is here. It's clear to see. If you are someone who is worried about AI development, you're worried about your family being killed, you're not alone. Normal people think this, that they support you in wanting this race to be stopped, right? This is the majority opinion. The minority opinion is that of the AI accelerationists, that of the tech bros, many of whom have openly said that they are okay with human extinction as long as it maximizes negative entropy or allows us to reach a type 2 civilization and spread across the stars. Now, if you haven't yet, I urge you to go and sign the letter right now. It's only going to take 10 seconds of your time. I'll leave a link in the description. Share it on social media. Talk about it with your mates. Don't give up hope. This is a huge step forward in terms of getting the regulation we need. It's made me so happy. I can't describe the joy and hope that I've been able to experience as a result of this letter. Huge thanks to everyone at the Future of Life Institute for putting it together. Huge thanks to everyone who signed it, all of the experts, all of the celebrities, and all of the ordinary people.